Hello, Algebra 1. Welcome to Lesson 9.5 on completing the square. This lesson has a concept, which is a skill, right? Completing the square. Now, when you think of completing the square, right, I want you to think of this little expression, b over 2 squared. We are going to use this all day today. All right, so keep that in mind as you go through this. And this completing the square actually has a lot of connection to lesson 7, I think lesson 7.3 and 7.7 on the multiplying and factoring special cases involving squares from topic 7. Okay, but nonetheless, here we go. Okay, so it says what value of c makes x squared plus 6x plus c a perfect square trinomial. So this is our quadratic, and this is our vocab, perfect square trinomial. So what we're looking for here is we're looking to organize this quadratic into a algebra style representation where x squared are represented by these blue squares, the x's are represented by these green rectangles, and these ones represent a unit, right? That's going to make up C. And we want this to be a square. So if you take a look here, right, there are 1 x squared. So we're going to take this x squared and put it right here. That's our x squared. Now, we're going to take these 6 x's, and we're going to break them up evenly. 1, 2, 3. So that's an x, x, and x. And then this way, 1, 2, 3. X, x, and x. So there's our 6 x's. And the question is, what would I have to include? How many of these ones would I have to include to make this a perfect square? Right, this is going to give you my C value. Well, if you take this and you just simply extend those, and you extend those, you get how many you need. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Your C value here is 9. Right? If we put that in place of C, x squared plus 6x plus 9, this would give us our perfect square trinomial. Why? Well, if you try to factor this, and again, I'm going to kind of fast forward, we need the factors of 9 that add to get 6. Well, that's going to be 3 and 3. But these two binomials are exactly the same thing, so we can write them as x plus 3 squared. This is what we're looking to do here. We're looking to what's called complete the square so that we can write our factors in terms of this. Now, remember I said that b over 2 squared part, right? Well, think about this, right? This 3. Where can I get that 3 from? Well, in this problem, your b value is 6, right? The bx term. So b equals 6. So if you take b over 2 and square it, that would be 6 over 2 and square it, right? 6 divided by 2 is 3, positive 3. And if you square it, 3 squared is 9. So this is the number that goes in the parentheses, and this is going to be your C value, right? This is called completing the square. Completing the square. This is what we have to do today. Okay. So again, I have it right down here. Let me bring this higher. So the process of adding b over 2 squared to x squared plus bx to form a perfect square trinomial is called completing the square. And there we go. So this is what a lot of our day has to do with. Okay, so let's do 2 problems on this video, and then we'll make a second video for the rest. All right, example 2. How can you find the solutions of x squared minus 14x plus 16 equals 0? So I'm going to show you how to solve a quadratic using completing the square, right? First thing is, unlike when we have 0 on one side, we want to move anything without x to the other side. So we want to move that c value to the other side by subtracting it. And now we have x squared minus 14x equals negative 16. And now let's go back to our last question, right? We need to see what c value we can add to this to make it a perfect square trinomial. So we're going to take our b value of negative 14, we're going to divide it by 2, and we're going to square it. That would be negative 7 divided by 2, or sorry, negative 7 squared. And negative 7 squared is positive 49. So again, this is the b over 2 squared. This 49 is our c value. We're going to add it over here, but we also have to add it over there. So my new equation becomes x squared minus 14x plus 49 equals negative 16 plus 49. Notice I added it both places. And now we need to come up with the two parentheses that are identical that make this trinomial. Well, I know it's x and x. It's going to be minus minus because that middle term is minus. And again, it's just going to be this number, the number you get before you square, negative 7, negative 7. So now we're going to write this as x minus 7 squared, right? We want to complete that square to get that binomial squared. This is going to equal, and we just simplify this left-hand side, this right-hand side, just negative 16 plus 49, that's 33. Now, to get rid of this squared, we're going to take what's called the square root. Now, we've done square roots this year a little bit, right? When you take the square root of the left-hand side, the x minus 7 will pop out. No need to have the parentheses. The parentheses are for the squared. It's gone. But on the right-hand side, when you take the square root of a number, because it is a quadratic, you're going to get two answers, the plus or minus of that square root of 33. Right, so that's just something you have to kind of know to do. Right, I'm telling you now. And now, you're actually going to get two answers because to get x by itself, you're going to add 7. And this is actually going to give you two answers. Those two answers are x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 33. So this could be how you write it. Or if you break it apart, you could have the answer x equals 7 plus the square root of 33 and x equals 7 minus the square root of 33. And those are the two solutions to this quadratic. All right, last problem on this video here. Sorry, forgot to clear the. There we go. It says the hedge maze has a 2-yard wide sidewalk around it. What are the dimensions of the maze? Oh my goodness. So here we go. So if we take a look here, this is very similar to our problems. So we have this maze. The maze, the length of the hedge maze is twice as long as the width. So remember, we let the width be x. Always let the second thing be the variable x. So let's call this x. So then the length is going to be twice that. 2 times x. The length is twice x, 2x. And I'll put that right here. But now there is this walkway around it, right? It's a 2-yard wide walkway. So again, if you were to make this width be 2 all the way around, to find the new width, you would take this x, the original one, but you have to add 2 down here and up here. That would be x plus 4. To find the new length, you would take the original like 2x, but you have to add 2 here and here. That'd be 2x plus 4. This will give you the dimensions of the entire thing. It tells you that the total area is this big, huge number. Oh, shnikey. So here's what we're going to do. First thing we're going to do, we're going to find the area of this whole thing. So area of this rectangle is going to be base times height. 2x plus 4 times x plus 4. I'm going to do box method. So here we go. 2x plus 4, x plus 4. Again, looking at these 4 boxes. X times 2x is 2x squared. X times 4x is 4x. 2x times 4 is 8x. 4 times 4 is 16, plus 16. So this factor, this multiplies into 2x squared. The 4 and the 8 become 12, plus 12x plus 16. And now I know what this area is. This area equals 5,616. So 2x squared plus 12x plus 16 equals 5616. Now I'm going to solve this using completing the square. Okay? Again, we're just going to do it like this. So first thing I do is I have to get rid of this 16, right? Anything without x, move it to the side. So I'll subtract 16. 2x squared plus 12x equals 5600. And now, one of the things we did not encounter in the previous problems is the a value. This must be a 1. Okay, 2 is not 1. So you need to divide out this 2. Now, because we are solving, we can simply take everything and divide by 2. When you do that, you get x squared plus 6x equals 2800. There we go. And now it's time to complete the square. We need to figure out what c value do we have to add to both sides to make this left side a perfect square trinomial. Remember, b over 2 squared is 6 over 2 squared. That is 3 squared, which is 9. You're going to add 9 to both sides. So we're going to do x squared plus 6x plus 9 equals 2800 plus 9 to both sides, here and there. So now this left-hand side we're going to factor, and I'll do it up here. So we're going to do x, again, it's x plus 3 and x plus 3. Factors of 9 that add to 6. Again, the 3 is right there. And this is going to be x plus 3 squared, and that's going to equal 2809. And now to get rid of this squared, we're going to take the square root. So the x plus 3 pops out. And when you take the square root of 2809, it's a nice number. It's 53. But remember, when you take the square root of when you take the square root here, you have to do plus or minus this 53. So now we'll subtract 3 on both sides. And we'll get 2 problems. I'm going to put them right up here. Okay, so way up here. So you get x equals 53 minus 3, and x equals negative 53 minus 3. 53 minus 3 gives you an x value of 50. Negative 53 minus 3 gives you an x value of negative 56. This x, right, is going to be a dimension. You can't have a negative dimension, so this can't be right. So we know that x must be 50. The width must be 50 yards. The length is twice that. Twice 50 is 100. So the width and length are 50 yards by 100 yards. Nice. All right, into video 1. Video 2 is coming up right next.